awaken him? How will he find us when he comes?
Awake and ready.
And when he asks us to dedicate ourselves ever more perfectly to him, how will he find us?
Awake and ready.
Heavenly Father,
Heavenly Father,
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
Friend, beloved God,
Friend, beloved God,
Great Masters,
Great Masters,
Jesus Christ,
Jesus Christ,
Babaji Krishna,
Babaji Krishna,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Lahiri Mahashaya,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Swami Shri Yukteswar,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Paramahansa Yogananda,
Saints of all religions,
Saints of all religions,
we humbly bow to you all.
we humbly bow to you all.
Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
awaken our hearts,
awaken our hearts,
awaken within us,
awaken within us,
divine love,
divine love,
unconditional love.
unconditional love.
Help us to know your presence
Help us to know your presence
within us
within us
and all around us,
and all around us,
and help us
and help us
to share your blessings
to share your blessings
with everyone we meet.
with everyone we meet.
Om.
Oh,
Peace. Amen. You can have a seat.
Life is a dream, time like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions before. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend from life's cares to the sky. Love is a star that's shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Life is a dream, time like a stream, carries our burdens away. Never despair, joys everywhere. Love can befriend you today. Free from all care, like birds on the air, soar above griefs and worries, seek joy and be gay. Often on earth, things of great worth, worldly ambitions devour. Sometimes a friend helps us ascend from life's cares to the sky. Love is the star shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh. Love is a star shining afar. It can guide us and help us toward light to draw nigh.
Let's continue meditating as we listen to these words from Affirmations for Self-Healing on our topic this week, love. One finds love not by being loved, but by loving. We can never know love if we try to draw others to ourselves, nor can we find it by centering our love in them. For love is infinite. It is never ours to create. We can only channel it from its source in infinity to all whom we meet. The more we forget ourselves in giving to others, the better we can understand what love really is. And the more we love as channels for God's love, the more we can understand that His is the one love in all the universe. Let's affirm together, first out loud in a strong voice, and then we'll do it progressively softer until silently. I will love others as extensions of my own self.
I will love others as extensions of my own self,
And of the love I feel from God.
and of the love I feel from God.
I will love others as extensions of my own self.
I will love others as extensions of my own self,
And of the love I feel from God.
and of the love I feel from God.
I will love others as extensions of my own self.
I will love others as extensions of my own self,
And of the love I feel from God.
and of the love I feel from God.
In a whisper now, I will love others as extensions of my own self. And of the love I feel from God. Silently now, I will love others as extensions of my own self. And of the love I feel from God. Now, broadcasting silently from the point between the eyebrows, I will love others as extensions of my own self. And of the love I feel from God. Pray silently with me. O Infinite One, make me a channel for Thy love. Through me, reach out to sow seeds of love in barren hearts everywhere. Good morning again, friends. I think we know everyone, but if not, I am Narayan. My wife, Dharmadevi. Welcome our friends online. And we share every week from Rays of the One Light. These are weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad-Gita. And this is week number 2. Did God create the universe or become it? Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The Gospel of St. John, chapter 1, contains a passage that explains the essential truth that creation is a process of becoming. The universe is not separate from God the Creator, but a part of Him, even as our own dream creations during sleep are figments of our own consciousness. God's is the life. God's the reality. Not a melody could be composed, not a poem written, were the melody and the poem not already there, simply waiting to be expressed. In Him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. Ego-directed desire is like static. It distorts the radioed messages of infinity. But the pristine impulse from the divine, undistorted by limitation and delusion, is the life that gives rise to all that is. As the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad-Gita states, I am the fluidity of water. I am the silver light of the moon and the golden light of the sun. I am the Om chanted in all the Vedas, the cosmic sound moving as if soundlessly through the ether. I am the manliness of men. I am the good, sweet smell of the moist earth. I am the luminescence of fire, the sustaining life of all creatures. I am the self-offering in those who would expand their little selves into cosmic life. O Arjuna, know me as the eternal seed of all creatures. In the perceptive, I am their perception. In the great, I am their greatness. In the glorious, it is I who am their glory. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, I was visiting my mom back in Georgia a few years ago. Actually, Narayan and I were visiting her together, and it happened to fall on Valentine's Day. And we were at church, at her church. She goes to the Catholic church there where I grew up. And the priest who I grew up with was speaking. And here it was Valentine's Day, and you know, lots of couples were all cozy together. And at that point, there were very few young people at the church. Now there are actually a lot more young people. But, and this talk that he gave may have inspired that. And he said, so there are a lot of old people. And he actually started by inviting this older couple who had been married for over 50 years. It was their anniversary. Everybody gave them a big round of applause. And he said they sat back down, and everybody's all content with, this is how church goes. And he said, I want to talk to you today about sexuality. And you could just kind of feel in the room like, ah. And there was a buzz that went through the room. Well, I'm going to talk to you today about sexuality. And I'm going to use him and his talk as inspiration. But first, I'll read to you from Whispers from Eternity. Intoxicate me with the wine of thy love. Intoxicate me with devotion's wine. I will drink of thee until death. My earthly desires are now dead, and I will live in thee forever. A thrilling current runs through each cell of my body and through every opening of my love for thee. Saturated with devotion, I will enter the heaven of thy presence. Groping blindly, the urge of my devotion suddenly flings open the secret door in my soul. Oh, what bliss I feel on beholding thy light. So what inspired me to want to share about this sermon that this priest, Father Fred, gave in Middle Georgia, in the middle of the Bible Belt, to a very conservative group of people, was that I opened conversations with Yogananda in trying to prepare for service, and I saw his quote. And Swami Kriyananda said, described it as he insisted regularly to us, you must individually make love to God. And I've read that a bunch of times. I've heard it a bunch of times. And of course we know he's not talking about in the worldly sense. How could he? But what does he really mean? Have we ever really dug into that quote of Yogananda's? Now, I'll get back to that, but this beautiful sermon that Father Fred gave, he said how we express our sexuality. And he said, he began, it was like he was being really controversial, and I loved it. Because he was shaking people up, Swami Kriyananda would always do that. He'd stir the pot and get us like out of our comfort zone. And so he said, I express my sexuality, and just kind of paused and looked around with this mischievous grin on his face. And he said, I love painting. I expressed my sexuality through painting and feeling that God is in the paintbrush. And he said, Mother Teresa expressed her sexuality. And just kind of waited as people were digesting this. And he said she did so by serving the poor and feeling Jesus' presence in each one of those people. And he went on and on this way until people really got it on such a deep level that we express our sexuality not in the way that we think we do, not in the limited way that we think we do. What is the sexual energy? It's the creative life force energy. It's what creates life on this earth. It is a powerful force. Is it only used to create a new being? No. What about when it's not used for that? Does that just mean it's worthless and it should just be ignored or shut down? Absolutely not. That energy is meant to give life to this world, not necessarily through more human beings, but through our creative expression, through feeling that God is in every creative expression that we do. It's interesting when you think of this quote, you must individually make love to God. Yogananda gave a technique for when you're wanting to transform the creative energy at the sacral center. When you feel that energy awakened and you want to transmute that energy. Energy is energy. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not sexual or non-sexual, it's energy. It's how we use it that depends on what effect it will have on the world, what effect it will have on us, whether it will take us closer to God or take us further away into deeper worldliness. So he said that when you feel that energy awakened at the sacral center, at the reproductive area, he said to transform that energy, lift it first through the agency of your will to the heart center. And then from there, to lift it to the point between the eyebrows. So he's making a very clear point here, and I think it's interconnected with making love to God. That we first feel that creative life force energy. It's stirred, and it's usually stirred because something has aroused that energy. And normally, we allow that energy to go outward. Now, by making an extraordinary effort and saying, I don't want that energy to just go out. I want to use that energy for something else. I'm going to redirect that energy inward and upward in my spine. Yogananda said the spine and the brain are the altars of God. And so what do we do at an altar? We pray, we meditate, we offer our love and devotion. So in the spine, we're saying, I'm offering you this energy, Lord. I'm giving you my creativity. And in that process of raising the energy, if we do so with devotion and feeling God is in my spine, I'm giving this energy to God, it can be a very heart-opening and very blissful experience. What I realized is that at the sacral center and at each of the centers, there is an experience of what you might call a bliss or an ecstasy. There's a divine attribute of each of the chakras. When we express the energy at a lower chakra, there is a nice feeling. It's a beautiful feeling. But if you try this exercise of raising the energy with that feeling of, in this process, I am individually making love to God, there is a bliss of the heart center that far surpasses anything of the sacral center. And that's a message to us. That's an important reminder that as we travel, it's not to say, and that's why I wanted to make it a point, that it's not that we're turning off the energy of the lower chakras. They are absolutely essential. And I've actually, through working with energy and doing a lot of healing sessions for people, I actually worked with a number of the Catholic nuns at my church there in Georgia. And I was amazed at tuning into their chakra system. And for a number of them, I would have my hands over their body, in their aura, in their energy field, and I would get to the lower chakras, and it was just like nothing. It was just like empty. And I was like, it's like your body is cut off right here. There's like nothing down there. And that was the way we have, if you believe in reincarnation, we've probably all learned this in a past life. Shut it down, turn it off, it doesn't belong. And what does that lead to? Suppression. It leads to a very unhealthy, or Yogananda or Sri Yukteswar called it, diseased sexuality. So we can't shut it off. We could shut it off and pretend it's not there, but then we've seen in the church and in other organizations where this has been the case of shut it down. That doesn't belong in spirituality. It comes out in not so good ways. And but if that energy is utilized, that powerful life force energy is utilized to make love to God, the bliss that comes, Yogananda described it like the light. He said it's like the light of 1,000 million suns, but it's not a blinding light. It's just a beautiful, brilliant light. The same with love. The divine love is greater than any love we can possibly imagine. The bliss that we feel in making love to God is beyond any love-making experience we can possibly imagine in the worldly sense. And so, Swami Kriyananda, I'm glad I wrote this down because he shared with a young couple who was wanting to practice abstinence in their marriage. I'm not suggesting this for anyone. I'm just sharing with you what he said. This couple felt inspired to practice abstinence in their marriage, but they had never heard of such a thing. Usually a young couple gets married, and great, they waited until they got married. That's like really something. But they felt this inward draw to remain abstinent. And so they wrote to Swami Kriyananda and said, "This is a good idea? Is this something that we should try?" And he said, "Yes, absolutely." And he said, when you touch each other, feel that you're touching the entire universe. So when we make love to our significant other, feel that God is in your significant other. Bring God into this situation. The more we do that, the more we'll understand on deeper and deeper levels what Yoganandaji said about making love to God. So I'll leave you with that. God bless you.